Hey everybody, welcome to the Blue Abroad Show, the Monday edition Blue Abroad Show. I'm your host Terry, and I've got one of the OG co-hosts, the Pom in Oz. Dan, how are you, mate?
I'm there, bad. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. To be honest, I'm really looking forward to tonight because I feel like it's another layer of the therapy that's needed. Just feeling a little uneasy about the weekend, and was it bad? Was it that bad? I don't know, but there's a few more things I think we've got to get off our chest, mate.
Well, there's a lot I can get off my chest. I don't shave, so let's do it. Let's smash into this.
We've got a lot of things to cover. Obviously, we're going to touch on the Geelong game. We're going to touch on the reserves. We're going to touch on the update from the president. We've got Charlie Curnow news tonight, and it should be a good one. So let's run the intro and get stuck into it.
What's going on? Internet!
Martin's been very impressive every single time.
They call the Colin supporters, thank you for the love.
Since playing Glasgow, and there's a magic moment. Ball inside 50, control! He strikes it beautifully.
All right, I'm back. We're up and about.
Hey!
Thank you very much to Shad Watson from Assertive Media who put that together for us earlier on the season. Not to worry, we will be back with Shad in the studio at season's end. We're looking forward to that. Before we go on, I want to thank, first of all, before we thank the members, I've got a very special birthday shout out we want to give, and that's to the one and only Deb O'Connor. Deb's one of the greatest. I often find myself getting into debates with Deb, and we don't always agree, but she's a staple of the Carlton community, and I think we should be giving her all the love she deserves today.
100%. I can't share the sentiments greater. I think Debbie has made me punch my fictitious cat a few times over the years, but I love Debbie. She's got a heart of gold. So whether we agree or disagree, she has got a genuine heart of gold. So lots of love from your favourite Pom.
Nobody loves the club more than Debbie, I can guarantee you that.
I'll tell you, and no one puts me in my place like Debbie does as well. I'll tell you.
Yes, that's good. I also want to thank the members of the channel. Thank you very much for your ongoing support. Your names will all appear on the bottom of the screen as we move onwards and upwards. Pom, we're going to talk about, let's start nice and slowly and then get into it. We had an update from the president. You would have got an email as members talking about the master plan update. What I really wanted to move straight into was the constitutional reform. This is interesting, and this is going to be an exercise that the fans or us, the members, are going to be a part of and have input in. And this is something that came up after the West Coast game, and then the boys on the Jumper Punch brought it up as well, and they went through the constitutional reform. I wonder if the club are watching, mate.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I'm pretty sure that they've already done the Constitution. And on one of our shows. So impressive that he's obviously listening, is Mark. And I wonder if we're going to see Rocco, Mars and Big Paolo, leading the Constitution. That would be, what, I'd love to see Mars. I'd pay to see that.
drafting a constitutional reform.
I'd love to see him in a room with them. Discuss it. I'd love to.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting, but look, it's good. Look, I don't know about you. Do you remember? I wasn't watching Arsenal play when they moved away from Highbury, but do you feel like this redevelopment has an Emirates vibe about it? How we're moving into a completely new facility and we've got to create new memories?
Yeah, you see, one thing that always worries me, and I had the fortune to go to Highbury. I think when you leave a home like that, a part of the club dies. And I know a lot of Arsenal fans feel the same. There was something like a fortress feel about Highbury. And, you've got all the great memories, Charlie George, George Graham, the greats that have walked through Arsenal Football Club. And to feel like that's died the minute they step foot in a new stadium. Obviously it's a little bit different because we don't play at Prince's Park anymore. But it's always going to be our home, isn't it? It's always going to be. And I think hopefully a new constitution, as Jack says here, put number one winning. That would be probably my first constitutional change. Let's have what we're actually about first, which is winning flags, and put anything else you want after it. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, what colour hairband I've got to wear on a live or something like that can be like 4th or 5th or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm very interested to see what they do early on once the redevelopment's done, and in terms of creating memories and creating real, I guess, engagement with the fans, because we're going to have to, you know, I think it'll always have the Princess Park feel to it, but it's going to be so shiny and so new. So, look, it's exciting.
Oh, it's exciting, and change is a good thing. I know change is something that we're all scared of, isn't it? We're all scared of change. It's a natural thing because something's always been that way. I mean, it probably does need redeveloping, but I'm one of these guys that I like Princess Park because it feels like I'm in the 70s. And it feels like, you know, without getting too romantic, because I tell people off for being romantic, but it feels like I'm sat there with my forefathers, you know, the people that paved the way for me to be on the show now. It feels like we're connected that way.
Absolutely. Yeah, you feel the history, you feel the culture. That's what it's all about.
What a melt I am for saying that after all I've said. Complete melt.
You turncoat. I love it. Let's move on. The Carlton Reserves, or what do we call them? The North Melbourne Kanga Blues. We had Jed Anderson and a few other North Melbourne players fill in, and they ran a scratch match. I don't think there's too much to report on. I don't really know how much we can take from it. It seems like Honey kicked 3 goals and Cottrell kicked a couple, and Durden chimed in with 1 there. And, you know, we got some minutes into some of the players that we needed to, but it's very much a 2020 feel in the reserves at the moment, isn't it, with these scratch matches?
Well, I mean, it was the perfect scratch match for the club, wasn't it? Because it wasn't an official match, and there wasn't many witnesses to it, so they could basically tell us anything they wanted to. So, shiny and new. Interesting to see, you know, Jed Anderson and Pollack play in North Melbourne socks, but Carlton Guernseys.
Yeah.
I thought that was a weird touch, but no, Honey again continues his form. He's got an absolute wonderful little lobby of work now, hasn't he? And you would have thought him and Ramsey must be knocking on that door.
We're going to touch on that. I think they're going to come up. I mean, we're getting towards that end of the season now when it's really, you know, the mathematical possibility of finals is I think it's at 0 now. I don't know, unless we win every game from here on in. But yeah, I think those two will come up. But I mean, look, as we spoke about last week with Luke Power, actually, yeah, what you guys think of that? Those of you who watched it, did it give you more of an insight into the strategy? Do you still agree with it? Do you get the ethos? I mean, because obviously we're looking to make sure that when the players do come in, like Honey and Ramsey, that they stay in.
I thought you talked a lot of sense. I loved it. I thought that was your best work there, Tez, to be honest. I actually thought that was your best work. I thought there were some telling moments if you actually watched that interview where he kind of got carried away with himself and then he reined himself in. I did feel like there was a but a few times when he was talking about development, like he'd stopped himself giving us the buts. It was kind of like, this is what's meant to happen, but maybe that's just me getting a bit old and reading into things. But no, it was informative, and you can see that we kind of got enough information about our lack of development, but probably not enough.
What I liked, there's a few things that stuck out to me. What I liked was it was very clear. He basically said when T came in, he felt like certain guys were getting games that weren't ready to get games. And that's obviously the philosophy change that was made clear from Bolton to Teague. And that's why we saw Murphy and Ed Kerno go back into the midfield and Dow and O'Brien and the like have to, earn their way through. So I guess time will tell whether these changes have been good or the right moves. It seems like, I don't really know what the right path is anymore, if I'm dead honest. I don't know what feels good or what looks good anymore. So, yeah, but no, I think the fact that he was willing to give up his time and just have that direct chat with the fans was important.
I think it's super important that not the players front up, but it's the coaching staff and it's the backroom staff, and because these are the guys that make the decisions. These are ultimately the guys that are responsible. The players only get so far. Like, in my opinion, like having Cripps tell me that he loves the club doesn't answer my questions. I want to see who's in the furnace, who's leading these guys. And you did feel a little bit better with Luke Power because he seems like a switched on, passionate guy. I love that bit where he said that he was being told it was a promotion, but he felt like it was more of a demotion because he's all about development. So I thought that was interesting because most people would say being the midfield coach is a promotion and the development's more on the outer, but you could see he was genuinely passionate. And we need people like that at the club who genuinely give a shit about what they do. And that made me a bit excited that he seemed to really care about that avenue, and that's what turned him on.
Yeah, it's interesting. Listen, let's move on. We're going to talk about the Carlton and Geelong game, but before we do that, we've got a little clip that'll be a nice little segue.
Yeah, I had expectations for finals this year. I'm pretty sure everyone did.
It's laughable what happened today, man. That could be one of the worst games I saw, man.
2 big sticks, yeah? Elite footballers kicking 14 behinds is Adelaide bullshit.
That's atrocious. That's appalling. It's just, I don't know, man.
I love the way that we've broken an American.
In 4 weeks, we've broken Adam.
Quality. I love it.
Him. I love him.
Well
to death. It's so cool to have him a part of it from Arizona. He's not even born here, and he's absolutely one of us. Let's start how we always start. So you guys watching at home, please write down 3 words to describe the game on Saturday. And Pom, take us away on a high level. What do you think?
Well, it was Carlton, wasn't it, at first? It was classic Carlton. You know, we come out 78% of the time in the first quarter is spent in their defence 50. We're peppering them. We look good. You start to believe, don't you? You start to hear Joe Adamo saying 12 and 10. It starts to happen. And then what happened was what we all knew was going to happen. And that was Geelong got control of the footy. And I thought exactly what Teague said. He didn't think it was the kicking inaccuracy that cost us the game. He thought that they just controlled the game. And I think when you look at it, if you actually look that game back, you could say that, 14-10, if we kick straight, we won. But they peppered inside 50, went at 37% inside 50? Like, they could say the same thing as well. If they kicked a bit straighter, they would have won. And I felt it was classic Carlton. Second quarter, we went back to running miles away from each other, really creating distance, which then caused that long bomb to come back, which then when they caught us on the transition, we were screwed. It was 58 points in turnovers to 7. And if you look at the turnovers, there's only 2 turnovers different.
What is it with the way we get scored on off turnover? It just seems to be every team.
I gave you a little video, actually. If we play that video, it's probably a good segue. Hey, to tell you, you're good at this, Tez. This is not your first barn dance. It's not your first rodeo.
This is not. Let's play the video, and you can talk while it's playing.
So if we look here, this is just one event where they scored off turnover. So you can see we get the ball, we look to play it out wide, and then this is what happens. The game is run forward, and this is all from the second quarter. Now, what that does is you can see how high they're all pressed. No one's coming towards the ball carrier at all. This was something that went from the high 70% at running at the ball carrier to running away from them. And what that does is when you get a team like Geelong, they intercept market very well. They do a couple of short kicks. They move up in stages very quickly. Before you know it, your men are running to get back, to get men behind the ball. And they're intersecting through the corridor and back through. And that's why you find so many players in that right quadrant free, because the players are streaming back. The back six do well, but there's no midfield pressure to stop them because the midfielders are chatting to Harry up forward, like expecting him to take a miraculous mark in the six. And I think Teague was spot on. In his presser, he said, I don't think the team know when to turn it on in defensive transition. And I think he's spot on. The players don't know because that is literally coached. And I don't believe Teague when he says they don't know the system yet. They're still learning it. Because if it was one or two players running out that deep, I'd say, okay, maybe they're not listening to him. But they are all doing it. You can't tell me 22 players are ignoring instructions. That's a clear instruction. I implore everyone after this, watch the first quarter, the last 10 minutes, watch the first 10, and you'll be like, Jesus Christ. Like, it's a different way we transition. And I actually now think I was wrong the last couple of weeks. It's the offensive transition that is killing our defensive transition in defense. It is absolutely mental.
It just, like, the overall summary for me was it just another one of those Carlton games where it was a what if 4-goal loss to a good side. You know, it's either what if we didn't have that bad 15-minute patch, or what if we kicked straight, or what if da-da-da-da. But it always seems to be 4 or so goals against the good sides. One thing I noticed, and look, okay, it wasn't a diabolical loss like some of them that we've lived through, but I don't remember seeing Carlton supporters leave as early as what I saw them leave on Saturday. Like, my sister, my brother-in-law, my brother, they left maybe 10 minutes into the fourth. I mean, it was only a 4-goal game, but there was just it's probably worse than angry. It was worse than anger. It was like a death, like a giving up, you know. I don't know if there's much to take from that or whatever. If it was just a dirty night, but just can't help but feel like we've done it again.
100%. Like, me and Bucky were talking about it just after the game. We had a bit of a chat, and we were talking, and it is a resignation. If you go and watch his video, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, it is.
It is a resignation. You knew at halftime. And I think when you actually look at it and you go back and just watch it, you actually see that I actually believe we set up not to lose by 40 anymore. Like, that is it, because the club keep pushing that as a sign of development, where we said in our preview and we did the articles and stuff that the way to beat this side is you've got to risk being beaten by 80 to beat them. You've got to give it a go. And in the first quarter, they did for 10, 15 minutes. But once Geelong got control of the footy, they could work their way around our inadequacy. And when you look at them numbers, just quietly, you want a positive. I'm always negative recently, so I'm going to give a positive. The positive, really, that you take out of it is we've just played a top 8 side and they've had 0 pressure in the midfield, 56 inside 50s. How the hell did Wheatering, Plowman and co keep them to 70? Yeah. Because at the time, Wheatering was 1 out on his own. So you want a positive. You give them proper midfield and forward structure. They have to do half the work. They probably keep sides to 30, but they're working so hard because of the tactics. And it is literally the tactics. Like, I've stopped blaming the players. Some of them deserve a bollocking, but when they're literally being told to bomb down the wing in their running in front of the ball, and you watch Geelong, you've just seen 2 opposite styles. Geelong run for each other, run together, and they come forward to always give the short option. We never gave the short option. In the third, the short option wasn't available once to anyone kicking on that outlet ball on the wing. And you wonder why we get scored on transition. You wonder why it's hard. Like Adam Sard in the turnover Jack Martin does that concedes the goal to Rowan, he's at half forward when we turn it over. He runs all the way back. You think about doing that 6 or 7 times. What that does to him. Yeah. Like, how is he going to see out the game? I don't care how good Russell is. He can't get anyone that fit.
Yeah. I almost feel like I've been having quite a few conversations with people over the last few days, and it's almost as if like, no, just calm down. It wasn't that bad. And I've kind of questioned like, maybe I do need to calm down. Maybe it wasn't that bad, but is that not like, that's not acceptable, because there's so many games like it this year and last year. There's so many games like it, and I won't accept it. It's not good enough.
Mate, Teague said it in his own press conference. In his own press conference, he said that we're aiming to be a top 4 side because that gives us a home final, right? So he had the audacity after that to say that that's the aim. Now, you've played a top 8 side who probably will finish top 4. I'm telling you now, they were troubled in the second half. They were troubled. They had all the ball. They did what they wanted when they wanted. And that is an issue. If you want to be top 4, we've not done this. Is not the first time we've done it. We are miles away. And if we get into the mentality of 30 points, 20 points to a top 8 side is good, that's miles away from a top 4. That's miles away. Teague's talking like we're nearly there. So we have to be brutal on this assessment because that game plan won't be any side because Geelong didn't play well. 32% efficiency inside 50 is shithouse.
Yeah. I think where is it? Alex here as this is how I felt in the fourth quarter. I thought they were playing with us. And I feel like teams play with us mentally. I feel like teams kind of know not to fear Carlton. And like, how are we going to change that? How does that change? What is the circuit breaker needed against one of these good sides? Because let's be honest, it started well. Okay, great. It started well. But they didn't go on with it.
I think what needs to happen, and I thought like Teague actually explained this well, and it's something I said in the fan cams as well, was I think the pressure on the kicking is built up because they know they need to score goals. So I think one thing that needs to change, and I think Teague got it wrong. I don't think it's just that. I think they know their structure requires them to kick the goals because they know their structure will eventually be worn down. So there's so much pressure on every kick. I think you get a proper structure and maybe just play, like we played one man back for the entire game, a spare out the back, right? And that's why the score was low. But they dominated around centre clearance and they play an extra man in midfield. I think sometimes it's been bold to lose by 80 to these top sides. That'll be the circuit breaker because I reckon the club knew we beat Fremantle. They didn't play particularly well. We beat Adelaide, wooden spooners. I think the club knew that glossed over our performance and where we are. And I think that they didn't have, and you saw in patches they were scared against them two Mickey Mouse sides. Geelong are a bona fide football club. Yeah. And you saw the fear hit straight away after the first quarter. So we've got to bring that fear. And our fear is showing in the eyes of the players. It's a fearlessness. Like, look at Teague 2019. It was beautiful. It was courageous. It was heroic. It was never say die. Who cares? If we lose, we lose. But we're going out today and we're going to influence this game. And we're going to be part of something. And if we lose, we lose. But we play our way. Where did that go?
Yeah,
there was no fear. When we played Brisbane, we weren't scared. And look what happened.
I mean, I will say this, because, when you do look at what did work, I mean, not just the Geelong game, but I think the last 3 games we've played now, something has happened defensively and we're not conceding as many points. I do feel from the eye test that something has been tinkered with defensively, and it's better than talking about individuals. There is some sort of defensive system, but now all of a sudden the forward system, which is what he was known for.
Yeah, but all we've done is we've moved a ruckman to play behind the ball. That's all we've done. Like, it's not rocket science what he's done. I mean, what he's done is he's taken away that horrible ball that kills us, that little short chip kick. But it's still there because when we commit players forward, which you have to do in this game, it's so easy to dissect it. So we've got to start looking when we play well. And like you say, you're right. We do have moments in games. Every team does. Do you know what I mean? I've had moments in my life where I've looked like a superstar in things. But it's about replicating it and giving you the best chance. And when we move the ball well with handballs and quick, we move for each other and we go for that short option. The short kicks are beautiful to watch. But it's having the bravery to do that, because when we're doing them short kicks, we turn it invariably over in our side of the ground. And you can see Teague doesn't like that. He'd rather turn it in there forward 50. But the problem is, that's a high risk, high reward play, because Tom Stewart's no mug. Lockie Henderson's no mug. These are experts at what they're doing. Tui looked world class. Tom Stewart looked like the greatest thing I've ever seen with my eyes. And it's because he was under very little, no pressure, and we played into his game. So I want to see that. If I was Teague's boss, I'd be like, don't throw caution to the wind anymore. Let these boys play, and if we lose, we lose. But don't walk off the ground thinking, oh, if only we did this.
What did you make, and you guys in the audience as well, what did you make of the late changes? So we knew Casbolt came out, Jones came out, and they went with Setterfield and Williamson. What did you make of that, Pom, and you guys in the audience?
Well, I thought the direct quote from Mr. Teague himself said it all. And that was, we hope Levi's had the injury all week. We hoped by game day he'd be okay. And you look at that emergency interchange. They've got, till Friday to finalise it. That's how Richmond did the dodgy and brought Stocker and Sydney Stack in. You think, if that was one of the cases, why didn't you go for the tallest backman? Do you know what I mean? Or the tallest lockdown on that pine, just in case. Do you know what I mean? And we've got a backup plan. It's not great for TDK, but we haven't really got a backup plan for a key defender. And I thought Setterfield and Williamson just really didn't add anything to that game for me. Like, on paper, I don't think they added anything that would beat Geelong at all. And the way they played, Setterfield did that ridiculous halfback flank wing thing. And I mean, Williamson just did Williamson things, didn't he? He was just another Saad, Doc. We've got a lot of them players.
I didn't mind Willow's game, considering he came in. I also didn't mind the fact that they said, right, we're going to allow Radaglia to potentially be a mismatch here, and we're going to take him on, because I like it. I actually did appreciate that. I liked it. I just felt like the Setterfield move was the one that really intrigued me, because we've got Kennedy in the side. Setterfield's not playing in defence. He's going to play on the wing or whatnot. We lose a forward in Casbolt because he was going to play forward ruck or, whatever, be that second tall. I wonder what the fitness levels of Fisher were compared to Setterfield, who are both coming off an injury. I also wonder if that was the game to play Josh Honey. But again, we now know that he's obviously not ready to play, because he would have played by now if he was. I'm also mindful of the injuries and all of that. And obviously we're all talking now in hindsight, but in the moment, I remember saying, I just don't know if Setterfield is the right one just yet. And, I almost feel bad for him, because if he gets named, of course he's going to play. He's not going to say, sorry, can't play today, not going to put my hand up. You almost set him up to fail. Having said that, you've got to be ready. It's part of being a professional footballer. He hasn't had a great year for his confidence, and he's copping the criticism because he hasn't gone in hard enough. He hasn't won enough of the ball. He's not playing with that same tenacity that he was in 2020, and it's tough. It's tough on him. It's tough on us.
I agree with you. I mean, I thought the smart play for me would have been Parks. He's officially registered now at 194, so that's 3 centimetres shorter than Jones. So it's not a great deal, but it's about 6 centimetres taller than Willow. And I thought that would have allowed you then to not have Setterfield there, because Willow can come in, and we've got Stocker there, we've got SPS. You've got a few players there that you can move forward of the ball. Do you know what I mean? Forward of the ball. So we've got a plethora of halfbacks who play midfield. Parks then could have just been played either two ways. He could have either done what he did at juniors as the spare kind of Audi Tom Stewart, playing where Plowman is. Plowman's more locked down. He did a phenomenal job on Rataclere as well, just quietly. But then again, Rataclere isn't very good in the air and he isn't a very good set shot goal. So he's been struggling with that. That's been the criticism this year. And you could have floated him around. But in my opinion, that would have been the smart play. I thought you picked two players that Setterfield has no form.
And he's come off an injury.
Yeah, and he showed that this week. It was horrific. There was no point to what he was doing. Like, you look at where he could have played. You could have played anyone there. You could have played anyone there to play that role. It's such a vanilla role that he does.
It was an interesting one. It was. Let's go on. Let's go on with some votes. Tom, what was your 3, 2, and your 1? And you guys in the audience, what was your 3, your 2, and your 1 from the game?
Well, I mean, God, it's tough, isn't it? Like,
I could give you a 2 and a 3, but I don't know about a 1.
I'd say, for me, 3 votes, and this is pure. I mean, this is probably harsh because I love him. 3 votes, without a doubt, goes to Jacob Wheatering.
I'm with you, mate.
I loved Walsh, but I think you're playing a guy that was in supreme form as well. He's been very good, Hawkins. 3 votes for me. 2, Walsh. And 1 vote I'm giving to Plowman. He, opening minutes of the game, first inside 50, Rataclere towelled him up. And after that, he never really missed a trick. I thought he was phenomenal. And that's a big mismatch. That is a big mismatch if you look at their stats. Big mismatch. And he held his job. And that's the good thing about Plowman. He comes back, doesn't he? He comes back hard. So 1 vote for me. I was very impressed.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. I'm going to give my 1 vote to I'm going to give it to TDK. I actually really enjoyed his game. I think it was the game where I thought he could play in that ruck role on his own. I think he's building in very important repetitions for 2022. And he along with Charlie Curnow, for me, are low-key 2 of the most important key position players for next season in terms of got to get them through this year, got to get their confidence up and their bodies right, and they've got to have an injury-free preseason. And those are the 2 for me. But I'm loving what I saw from Tom. I think one of my notables for the last few weeks about him was would love to see him get around the ground and take a few more marks. And that's what I thought he did. And that's
he was phenomenal.
Yeah. So I really liked that game from him in terms of you just take little wins along the way. And he's someone you can be patient. You have to be patient with. But I really did enjoy his game. He obviously had a few errors. I think Roland's talking about the corridor kick didn't come off, but he kept trying, and I gave him some credit there.
I really enjoyed as well him rolling behind the ball. I really enjoy. I think that's his strength. I know a lot of people think he should go forward. I think rolling him behind the ball. You look at the success Max Gawn has on that, and that's what Max Gawn does. He rolls behind the ball and then sometimes rests forward. But when they need him, when he rolls, you watch Melbourne, how often and then inside 50 hits him straight on the chest. He's got an uncanny knack, so does TDK. But no, I agree with you as well. I thought he was good.
Yep, absolutely. Any other... What was your story? Actually, what was your subplot of the game? What was your story of the game that you came out with that you didn't think about before you were going in? What caught your eye, as in headline or subplot or story? What was it?
I'll go with a positive one. I've got a few negatives, but I'll go with a positive one. I thought Adam Sard shutting the door on Nick Hind and all them rumours that we've wasted the money. I mean, I thought Sard's game, there was moments in that game that Sard showed why we bought him and took a bit of pressure off, and he got into the game, and then you'd think, Teague, see it, please see it, what he's doing. He's killing them when he runs through the corridor, and we go back to that kick. But quietly, Sard, look at his numbers, 13 pressure acts and a phenomenal 5 score involvements, 8 intercept possessions. He was brilliant. I really enjoyed what he's doing, and I enjoyed what I saw from him. So, I mean, that's a positive.
Yep, no, fair enough. Maybe maybe I'll be the bad guy today.
All right.
I like it. I left that game, and many individuals who I thought at times didn't do their best, but this isn't necessarily at the player, but it's just more the player and the selection of him. But where's Jack Martin at? What's happened to Jack Martin? Because I remember, I'm not sure if you remember the first contest of the game where we went inside 50. He misread his opponent and where the ball was going to go. Okay, fair enough. It happens. The ball bounces funnily. But then when it came time for him to get off his mark and go and chase, he either had no explosiveness or he didn't have the mental drive to sprint. And if it's the injury and he's incapable of making that chase, then that is, in that moment, I'm thinking, why isn't Josh Honey playing? Because I know that he'll be chasing there. And I'm just wondering, like, what's going on with him? Because I look at him as when you think of Jack Martin, it's like he's tough, he's quick, he's ferocious, he's skillful. And I'm not seeing him. He's not there.
I think it's a great point. I'll see if this works. Can you see that?
Yes.
Excellent. Well, I mean, this is his heat map for the game, possession heat map. This is a sneaky top secret thing. But you can see the blue arrows by marks and possessions are the direction of the kick. Blue successful, red is unsuccessful. But look at how deep he is. Like, we're going right to left, as the arrow says. Right? Look at how deep he is. Like, that's not where we want Jack Martin. That like the one time he had the ball in the forward half of the ground, he hit Harry Mackay on the tip. Like, why is he playing behind the ball so much? Is my question. Now, is that fitness and underdone and he can't get there? But there was times in the second, I don't think he passed halfway.
The thing is, if he's injured, like, it's okay, but don't play. You're either injured or you're out of form once you take the field. I think
it's one of two things. Either Carlton are like, let's convert another player into a halfback, because I mean, them numbers are halfbacky numbers. He was literally the man behind the ball when the first exit kick, defensive 50, and you want him. You saw the moment he kicked to Mackay. You saw that's why we pay him money. He had that lovely 1-2 with Dow. Dow handball back over the top. And he put his head up, saw Harry, waited, drew the contact, banged straight to Harry inside 50. That's where you want him. I don't want to ever see him in the back half of the ground. Yeah. I never want to see him in the back half of the ground.
I just really don't enjoy watching him play like that because that's not him. And he's not right.
No, I mean, he's a game breaker. And seeing him that far back.
Do you think it's probably because, like, what he could do in a game, and even if he's at 65%, he's still good enough? And there comes the question of, do we really want to be doing that with players?
Well, I mean, why break a habit of a lifetime, Tez? I mean, this is Carlton Football Club. If you're like, you know, and I know we're going to get onto him later, but you know Charlie's coming back 2 weeks too early. Like, you know it's happening. Like, you know, there is no reason right now Charlie plays, and I love Charlie. I want to see him, but there is no reason in God's green earth he plays senior football. But he will play senior football this year. You know he will.
Well, that's a good segue, mate. We'll stop talking about the Geelong game. We're going to move to Charlie Curnow. It pepped me up. I'm going to play a little clip from today. He's confirmed his return.
Charlie Curnow was finally back.
You must just be so rapt to be back playing some footy, hopefully, this week.
Yeah, no, pumped. Looking forward to this weekend, so it's going to be pretty...
Get the fuck you, mate! Charlie's back, baby!
All I can say is I've been waiting to release this, but this has been 2 years in the making, so we've got a chant for him. People asked for it in the comments, like the other week we talked about it, and I've got it, right? Oh, Charlie Curnow, he's a hero, the Prince of Icon Park. He takes pack marks, and when he plays, he's fucking class. He drives around Lygon with a wallet full of cash. The boy, he's back. Get out in here.
Oh, man.
But not this year. Not this year, but he's back. but don't bring him in the seniors.
No, well, let's talk about that. Why not?
I just think, like, honestly, like, I'm the same with Patrick Cripps as well. Like, if Cripps holding this injury now, 6 games to go, we ain't playing finals. Legit, if we drop down 6 players, there is players in this draft that are the tits, man. Some players that are the tits. Like, fuck it off, rest them, ice them. Next year, Teague is right. It's all about 2022, right? If they're not 100% fit, no one plays. If we lose, we lose. Who cares, right? But if you admit it, no one's going to get angry. I promise you, David Teague, I won't have a go at you if you come out and say 2022, fuck the game. We're just going to get these guys right, because you can get a full fit Cripper, and you can get a full fit Charlie Curnow, we're fine. But this is Carlton Football Club, right? We'll lose against Collingwood. We'll probably lose against North, and they'll be like, oh my God, we can't lose any more games. Bring Curnow back. We're running out of articles. We're getting Charlie talking to 3-year-olds now. We need a positive article. Like, that's what they'll do. And, you know, it's a risk, man. It's a risk. And I want it to happen. No one in the audience will want Charlie back. No one as much as me. But let's just give him 6 VFL games, kick as many fucking goals as he needs to, get the confidence, ice him, recovery, good preseason, round 1, you go out there and you don't just beat the Richmond, you beat them on your own, right? That's what I'm talking about.
All right. Well, I've put a poll up on YouTube. So if you're on YouTube watching, please just click one of the options. And the question is, should Charlie Curnow play senior footy in 2021? And if you're on Facebook or Twitch or the other platforms, just put a yes or no in the comments.
Like, it hurts me. I want to see it.
I get what you're saying, but mate, this year we need something. It's been a dead year, and we need something to go into 2022 with. I feel anyway.
100%. But why risk a player that if he has one more injury, he's done? He's done. He ain't coming back. So one more long-term injury, heaven forbid, he's done. So why risk him for the sake of what? Six games? 6 games? Like, what are you playing for? Right? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's the same with Cripper. Cripper's injury has been continuous since 2019. If you go back through his history, it's a continual repetition. So finals is out the window. That was the aim. So I'm not saying throw games, but what I'm saying is, why play them, right? Why play them if they're not 100% and it could just make them die? Do you know what I mean? It can ruin them next year. We just want them ready today. Ready today. Why, though?
See, I find that contradictory because we expect them to go out there and, if it's not about finals, it's about pride in the jumper, and every time you lace the boots up, you're representing the great club. But let's not try and win games as a priority at the end of this year, because
not saying don't try and win games. There's 40 odd blokes on the AFL list. Like, if they're not good enough, do you know what I mean? If they're not good enough to win us football games, that's on the recruitment department. What I'm saying is, if they're not 100% convinced, and there is no way, look at Max King's length of time he was out. Similar injury. Do you know what I mean? Real big injury. It's similar to one that Charlie got early in his career. Do you know what I mean? He's had long-term knee injuries as well. So that ACL wasn't a surprise. Look at how good Max King is now, because they iced him for a long time. Longer than they needed to.
Well,
so,
do you not think that we're really icing? Like, Charlie's been out a long time.
Yeah, but when was the last time he played? Even a VFL game is what I'm saying. He hasn't played. He hasn't physically played a game in anger. In the VFL, it's a hell of a lot slower. Ask any footballer. Josh DeLuca summed it up. He said it was like AFL is like VFL, but you've times it by 1.5. So it's a lot quicker. What works in VFL doesn't work in AFL. So you can manage his injury and you can manage what he's on about. And VFL means fuck all as well. So if Charlie comes to you and says, Doc, my knee's hurting a little bit, there's a twinge, you can just play one man down, can't you?
Yeah,
you can't play one man down in the AFL.
Yeah. What if he plays 3 games in the VFL and just starts ripping it up and just flying?
Wait, why risk it? So 3 games now, that's going to be what? We'll have 3 games left.
Mm-hmm.
Like if he's not, and I'm talking 110% fit, like I'm talking he can run from here to the liquor shop and get me some Hennessy and come back. What's the point of risking it? Like, I'd be more worried about playing McGovern because, do you know what I mean? McGovern has some trade value this year, right? And if you can get Charlie 100% right this time next year, we can fuck McGovern off. Do you know what I mean?
Do you not want to? But the thing is, if he misses all of this, like every single game for the rest of this year, and we want to get him ready for round 1 next year, like with almost 2.5 years without a senior game, he's got to feel the speed of the game, don't you feel? Don't you think? Is there no merit in that?
Yeah, to an extent. I mean, like people are saying here, he's a professional footballer. He needs to play for his own peace of mind. My question to you is: if he's a professional sportsman and it's for his mental health, you bring him back because Charlie's never going to say no. Charlie's that type of guy. If he's 50% fit, he will play. So if you give him the option, he's not going to say, no, I'm not right. But if he does himself a mischief now, what do you think he's going to do for his mental health when he's retired and he's hearing these articles of 2017, 2018? Charlie Curnow's the next big thing, the Great White Hope. He sees some chubby pobby twat on YouTube singing that Charlie Curnow song, and he's 40, he's overweight, and he hates his life. He'll be a lot more depressed then, I can tell you. So 3 games, if he's not 100% fit, don't even bring it up to him. 3 games, 4 games, 5 games. Do you know what I mean? Light runs, manage him, nice full preseason, get him sharp, build the twat up. So when he comes out against Richmond, he crunches Dustin Martin first chance he gets, kicks 7, gives it the biceps, the cheeky smile, Pom jumps over the barrier, licks his face, gets banned from the MCG for life, but who cares? He's back. Do that.
Fucking hell. Yeah. I was so in. I was like, Charlie in, but I kind of get what you're saying. Andrew Lake's got a very interesting comment here. He said that the Blues made the same mistake with Kuda in 2002. They rushed him back less than 12 months after his knee reconstruction. Kuda lasted 3 games and had to go under the knife again. I don't remember that exactly, but I know Andrew Lake is a great is a great man when it comes to knowing the history of the club and what's happened. So
I'll tell you what you've got to do is
you're a fucking buzzkill.
No, record what I've said now and then watch when the announcement's made and then watch my preview and me freaking got the Charlie Curnow life-size statue out wearing the Guernsey. Do you know what I mean? Like, you wait and you'll be like, shut up, Pom. Shut up, Pom. Do you know what I mean?
I don't know. Like, I know when he does play, it's just going to be an energy boost for everyone. It's just he is a special.
I want him to play. Like, honestly, it would make me happy. But like, we've got bigger problems, man. We've got bigger problems at the moment. Like, let's get a structure going. Like, I'd hate for Charlie Curnow to get injured with this. With suddenly, let's just say, Pom's dream happens. Teague leaves, Clarkson comes in, or whoever it is. We get a real good system. It's all firing. And then we're like, oh, shit, round 19, we played Curnow and he's out for 6 months and he's missed training. And, oh, no. Let's just cool our jets. There's a few guys in the reserves there that I'm telling you now, they've got to learn to do it because we're at the stage now at this football club that if I am the list manager, I'm like, fucking next year, I've got to get this right. I've got to get this right. So I need to know what these guys are about. Can Ramsey bring pressure in the midfield that takes the pressure off the defence? Can Honey replicate his tackle pressure in the first? They're my concerns. Charlie Curnow, I know he's a sex god. He'll be fine. Like, do you know what I mean? I know Charlie Curnow is going to make me happy till the day I die, right? What does Honey do, though? What can we get the building blocks in place for when that motherfucker comes back?
Okay. Thanks for that, Hom. Fucking patient ass. Fucking anyway.
I'm just saying, just think about like Cripper getting an injury now. Like you've just seen Hipwood. Like Hipwood, I was speaking to a Brisbane guy the other day, and Hipwood's evidently been having a niggle with his knee. He's felt a bit dicky. He's been having lots of remedial massage and stuff on it. Now, he's just on an ACL. That's 12 months. Yeah, that's 12 months. Imagine if that was Cripps. Heaven forbid, that's Kerner.
Mate, I don't accept this energy. I don't claim it at all. We don't
claim the energy. But I'm just saying, just imagine
I know.
if that happens.
I know. But it could happen in round one. It could happen any time. It could happen in the VFL. Mate, Charlie slipped over tiles walking upstairs. Like, it could happen anywhere. Did he,
though? Did he? Watch his interview with the kids, and as soon as Marchbank goes, I love playing with the boys, Charlie's there like, you're the boys! And I'm like, oh, God. Same old Charlie.
We need to start talking about... We need to get serious now.
Okay.
Because it's Collingwood, right? And you mentioned that we're losing to Collingwood, and I'm not having that.
I said if we lose to Collingwood.
You said if, but for me, I don't know about you guys at home. Like, what is it about the rest of the year that you want to see? For me, games like Collingwood will tell me exactly who I want to move forward with and have on our list in 5-6 years, because it's not a normal game. The Essendon game, I thought they rose to the occasion and treated it the way it needed to be treated. The Collingwood game in round 2 was one of the most disappointing games of the year, and there've been a lot of them. Mate, I can't sit through it again. I seriously can't. I can't. It hurts more than most games.
Mate, after what Collingwood did to us round 2, fuck Collingwood, right? They're up and about. This is the time, man, that last week doesn't matter and the week after I don't give a shit about. You don't lose twice to these mugs, man.
No, you don't.
They're up and about. They've stabbed Buckley in the back, a lifelong legend, to get some dickhead Harvey in, only for a couple of weeks, and then they're trying to get all the coaches, aren't they? Mitchell doesn't want to go there because they're a rabble. Clarkson's got too much self-respect to go there. Fuck Collingwood. Fuck them. They better rise to this week, I tell you right now. I don't want to hear anything about structure, because we don't have to worry about structure. We don't have to worry about it. Do you know why? Because you go man on man with these melts. You go man on man. Mano or mano. Every player can get a fine for all I care. We win this game. If we lose this game, honestly, I want 4 players to delist themselves. Fuck that. This is war. This is bigger than 4 points. This is fucking, we have to win, because they're loving what's happening to us. Let's get some fucking pride back. You asked, how do we inject pride? You smash these melts.
Yeah. I mean, we know straight off the bat, we're saying it on a Monday. Do not allow De Goey to be isolated with Plowman. So how do we stop that?
Well, basically, first, you pull Plowman to one side and say, John De Goey is a villainous piece of shit. You do not smile with him. First of all, he's your enemy. He's an arsehole. Hurt him. Hurt him. Do you know what I mean? I want to see that. I want to see that from the boys. I want to see no fun and games. No fun and games this week. This is business. Business.
So is Cripps playing this week?
If he's not 100% fit, no. But, and I'll tell you for why, Ed Curnow did pretty well revving him up against Fremantle. We know Curnow and no Cripps. Like, this is a game. Like, let's all forget. Round 2 was a disgrace.
It was
right?
a disgrace.
It was
bad.
Right? A disgrace. Disgrace. Right? Even when we had Bolton, who, 1 minute he's coaching freaking us, and the next minute he's doing, fucking balloon animals. The guy was, God knows what Bolton was doing. We still got up for this game, and we were garbage. We had players like, Camo Shea, man. Aaron Mullet, whose name is literally a shit hairstyle. And we still gave it a go, and they were playing finals, man. If these guys can't get up for this, without Cripps, right? And he's hurt. Do it for your captain because he's hurt, because he carries you lazy bastards all the time. You owe him it. Like, I would hope if Cripps was dropped, they're even more motivated because he's injured because they can't be arsed. Because he's got to do the workload for 5 years. God, they better get up, man. Tell you right now, because I'm sat next to Swoop Luke, who thinks it's acceptable to have Disney characters tattooed on his arms, right? They better fucking get up, man.
You're up and about, mate. I love it. No, let's just clear up.
I fucking hate Collingwood. I can't tell you. Like, they're Celtic. They're nothing to me.
Yeah.
If I was coach, my teams would never lose to Wessendon and never lose to Collingwood. I wouldn't allow it.
I love it. This is the energy I needed, I think, just to get me up and about this week. But for those of you at home, Pom will be doing the watch along in the same room as Swoop Luke, who's the Collingwood Blue Abroad. We'll call him the Collingwood Blue Abroad, the Collingwood YouTuber.
I've got to say, I've just got to pull out of my anger, right? Fucking, he's inviting me around to his dad's home. So, Luke, if you're watching, I do fucking love you, but that's all I'm going to be nice to you now. That's the last nice word I'm saying to you till about 2 days after the game, win or lose. But yeah, fuck Collingwood, man. The Mickey Mouse. I mean, look, Port Adelaide wants to play black and white. Why don't you learn to play fucking football properly before you mows them out your Guernseys? You know what, Eddie Maguire? You can suck my dick, you prick. We're smashing these guys now. Come on, boys.
All right, settle. All right, up and about. Fucking hell. Do I dare ask for the team changes, the team selection? What are the changes you guys want to see? We've got a couple of minutes before we finish up. Pom, you're blowing a gasket. What do you want to see change-wise?
Anyone who's got some cojones, anyone who's got some fucking heart, that's who I want to see. Anyone who's willing to step up. So for me, I'd bring in Mark Murphy because he fucking gets it, man.
He does get it.
And if I was his coach, I'd say you want 300, you kick a banana and you stick not one finger up, 2 fingers up at them melts. 2 fingers up, and I'll give you 300. Do you know what I mean? Bring Honey in. Do you know what I mean? Bring some passion to this game. I want to see 22 fit blokes, and they're playing for the Guernsey. Do you know what I mean? Exactly what Marcelo says. Cellini, Bonici, these guys, I want that heart, that spirit. This means something. Do you know what I mean? And if I see setters there, honestly, I am going to flip.
Okay. All right. I love it. I love it, Pom. So for you guys at home, Pom, can you just mute me on your other tab because I can hear the echo?
Oh, can you?
Yeah, I can hear you. All good. So for you guys at home, Almost Blues Brothers tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. That'll drop. Jumper Punch tomorrow night, 8 p.m. They got really fiery. Apparently, Paolo's blown a gasket as well. He's not happy, so we'll see what he has to say. The Blues Footy Podcast boys will be live Thursday as the teams drop. So it'll be a 6:30 p.m. show. Saturday morning, Riley will be hosting Blue Abroad Saturdays. And as I said before, Pom will be doing the watch along with Swoop Luke together, watching the Carlton Collingwood game. It's an interesting one. Those of you on YouTube, also everyone as well, don't forget the merch giveaway. So basically, we're doing, where is the Guernsey? It's not in front of me right now. But the 150-year anniversary Carlton Guernsey, we're giving it away in the month of July with any purchase on the Blue Abroad shop. You go into the draw. So we look forward to that. We look forward to Collingwood this week. Pom, love having you around, mate. You have a good one. And you guys at home have a good one. I'm up and about again. Go the fucking Mighty Blues.
Come on, Blues. Get him.